We begin the show in the United States, where protests have erupted in major cities. On your screens right now, on the left, you can see people have gathered in hundreds in Washington, D.C. On the right, similar protests erupted in, of course, Minneapolis as well, after the shooting of a woman by an ICE agent last morning. Tensions are high in the United States over dueling narratives that have come in from the federal officials versus those of the locals. But let's take you now to Minneapolis, after that fatal shooting of a mother of three in her car by an ICE officer in that city. The U.S. Vice President quickly blamed the mother, insisting a paid network of far-left radicals are responsible, while state and locals say the FBI has cut them out of investigation.
What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed.
People in positions of power have already passed judgment. It feels now that Minnesota has been taken out of the investigation.
Armed, masked ICE officers use pepper spray and what appears to be gas on protesters outside a federal immigration building. Demonstrations are demanding ICE get out of their city. Minnesota's governor again pleaded with the Trump administration to leave his state alone to de-escalate the situation. Instead, the president plans to send another 100 agents in. Let's now invite Kenneth Gray, former FBI special agent and senior lecturer at University of New Haven. Ken, good evening and thank you for your time.
Hi, Akshay. Glad to be with you.
So while investigations are still pending and continue, Ken, are you surprised in the manner in which, whether it's the federal officials or local officials, have already taken some very hard positions on this tragic incident?
Yeah, this is very politically charged. People have already dug themselves into certain positions, either on the left or on the right. An investigation, an officer-involved shooting investigation is ongoing. And in actuality, I would recommend caution to wait until the investigation is completed and we know the facts before taking one stand one way or the other. After all, that's what the investigation is for, is to determine whether or not the shooting was met the guidelines for deadly force, the use of deadly force.
Ken, there is a major trust deficit here, as we understand. You see, the FBI now has taken over this investigation, keeping the state out of this. Is this a fair way to proceed in an investigation?
Well, if you had heard the mayor there of Minneapolis express how he thought that that the federal government was totally off on their interpretation of what was going on and that they should get out of his town. He was very explicit about his terminology on telling them to get out of his town. That shows a lack of being neutral as to which way this investigation is going to come out on their side also. So there's a question about both sides, I think. But nonetheless, a good investigation that has all the details and that the results will have all the details and be made public, that in itself should stand alone. But we should wait and hold our judgment until we see what comes out of the investigation.
Sure. I mean, there are so many other ways to go about this as well in terms of investigation. But let me ask you, ideally speaking, Ken, in your assessment, how should a case like that involving an ICE agent, because I understand the training that ICE and local police versus the National Guard go, all the trainings and FBI is very different. It's not the same. So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong there, but how should a case like that really proceed in terms of a fair investigation?
So I can only give you my own experience, and that is that the FBI, whenever they have an agent involved in a shooting, they conduct their own investigation, but their own investigations are done in such a manner as to where they've come up with a finding, and that finding is transparent. And in some cases, they recommend prosecution of the agent. In other cases, they say it's a good shoot. So in reality, an investigation, when you can see what it goes into the investigation and what they find, that it stands on its own.
Ken, whatever be the outcome in this case, after the investigation, I'm just going to ask you a question from public perception and the sentiment on the ground. Do you think it'll be able to bridge the trust deficit right now between? Yeah, go ahead.
It really depends on where you sit. Where you stand depends on where you sit. And if you are sitting in one of the blue states, you will probably not trust the outcome. And if you're sitting in one of the red states, you're probably, depending upon the outcome, more likely to trust the outcome. But again, this is so politically charged. Yes. It's very difficult to find a way that will be acceptable to both sides. The thing is that here in the States, we have what's known as the supremacy clause in our Constitution. That means that federal trumps state, trumps local.
Okay, we'll have to leave it at that, though, while we keep a close eye on the investigations. Kenneth Gray, former FBI agent and senior lecturer at University of New Haven. Appreciate your time, Ken. Thank you.
Anytime.